Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Uzma Jafri. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 19th of March. India sees sharpest 5-day rise in COVID-19 cases in 10 months. Pakistan Army Chief reaches out to India, says time to bury past, move forward. And Sri Lankan PM visits Bangladesh to attend 50th anniversary of independence. And now for all the details. Over the past 5 days, India has seen the sharpest surge in COVID-19 infections in at least the last 10 months, led by a record daily increase in western Maharashtra state, where authorities have adopted fresh curbs to restrain the spread of the disease. Amid reports of vaccine wastage in the country, Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan on Friday urged everyone to take the vaccine shots and reiterated their safety.
India's coronavirus infections surged to more than a 3-month high on Friday, led by a record daily increase in western Maharashtra state, where authorities have adopted fresh curbs to restrain the spread of the disease. India's overall tally of infections stands at 11.51 million after 39,726 new coronavirus cases were reported on Friday, its highest since November 30. Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh states exhibited a steep rise in daily new cases, together accounting 80.63% of the daily new cases. In Maharashtra, all theatres, auditoriums and offices will take in only 50% of their capacity till March 31 amid a surge in COVID-19 cases, the state government said in an order on Friday. The capital, New Delhi, has also reported a steady rise in infections over the last 2 weeks, prompting city authorities to scale up the immunization campaign. India's Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan on Friday, while speaking in the Parliament, said no one should have any doubts about the COVID-19 vaccines and urged everyone to take the vaccine doses without fear.
वो ये कहना चाहते हैं कि वैक्सीन्स के बारे में कोई अपने मन में किसी भी प्रकार का भ्रम न रखें और आपको जो सुविधा उपलब्ध कराई है भारत सरकार ने, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने नेतृत्व देकर उस सुविधा को अपने निकट के सरकारी या प्राइवेट अस्पताल में जाकर और एक फोन से अपनी बुकिंग कराकर आप उस वैक्सीन को लीजिए.
Since starting the campaign in mid-January, India has administered more than 39 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine and aims to inoculate 300 million people by August.
In news from Pakistan. In a rare consolatory note, Pakistan's Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa on Thursday called for arch rivals India and Pakistan to bury the past and move towards cooperation. His statement follows an unexpected joint ceasefire announcement last month between the militaries of the two countries.
Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa called on Thursday for arch rivals India and Pakistan to bury the past and move towards cooperation. The overture follows an unexpected joint ceasefire announcement last month between the militaries of the two countries along their de facto border in Kashmir, having exchanged fire hundreds of times in recent months. Addressing a think tank event in Islamabad, General Bajwa, however, stressed that the burden was on India to create a conducive environment and said Pakistan had hope in the form of US President Joe Biden's new administration, which could help facilitate peace in the region.
It is time to bury the past and move forward. But for resumption of peaceful process or meaningful dialogue, our neighbor will have to create conducive environment.
Nuclear-armed neighbors Pakistan and India have fought 3 wars, and in 2019 tensions rose dramatically when India conducted an airstrike on terror launch pad of Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group in Pakistan in response to Pulwama terror attack, which killed at least 40 Indian paramilitary personnel.
Pakistan continues to see a sharp increase in daily COVID-19 cases. The country on Friday recorded 3,449 new cases of the deadly infection, taking its positivity rate to 8%. The rise in numbers comes as Pakistan has started vaccinating its frontline health workers and the elderly.
Pakistan's coronavirus positivity rate spiked to 8% on Friday after 3,449 new coronavirus cases emerged during the last 24 hours. According to government data, the number of total confirmed cases in Pakistan now stands at 619,259, with at least 13,757 deaths so far. Meanwhile, as Pakistan is seeing the sharp increase in COVID-19 cases, the country has ramped up vaccinating frontline health workers and older people with over 1 million doses of Sinopharm donated by longtime ally China. On Thursday, the country's 68-year-old Prime Minister Imran Khan also got his COVID-19 vaccine shot in the arm. With a population of 220 million and largely reliant on COVAX vaccine sharing initiative for poorer nations, Pakistan last month allowed private firms to import the coronavirus vaccine and agreed to expend them from the price caps. However, on Thursday, the Health Ministry said it had reversed its decision to allow uncapped prices for COVID-19 vaccines imported by private firms, a move that coincided with the arrival of a first shipment of a privately imported Russian Sputnik V shots.
Moving on, Baloch activists highlighted gross human rights violations by Pakistan, including the issue of Baloch missing persons allegedly abducted by Pakistani forces during their intervention at the ongoing UNHRC session in Geneva. They demanded the United Nations to intervene and form a fact-finding committee to probe the matter.
Baloch activists, during their intervention at the ongoing 46th UNHRC session in Geneva, highlighted gross human rights violations in Balochistan, including the issue of Baloch missing persons who have been forcibly disappeared by Pakistani forces over the past several years. The activists expressed concern over increase in cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings of Baloch political activists and innocent civilians by Pakistan, as they demanded the United Nations to intervene to stop the ongoing genocide and form a fact-finding committee to probe the matter.
Extrajudicial abduction and enforced disappearances by shadow of military agencies have been a feature of life in Balochistan for 2 decades. I request immediate attention of this Council toward the Balochistan.
That the Pakistan Army is committing worst human rights violation in Balochistan. The government of Pakistan has always treated Balochistan as a conflict zone from where truth does not see the light of the day.
Activists blame there has been a sharp rise in human rights violations in Balochistan since the launch of the multi-billion China-Pakistan economic corridor, which has also led to displacement of Baloch people and has only brought death and destruction instead of economic opportunities.
During Thursday's opening session of the Moscow talks on Afghan peace, Russia said it hoped international talks in Moscow would breathe new life onto the Afghan peace process. Following the Moscow conference, a joint statement was issued in which the 4 primary representative countries, Russia, China, the US and Pakistan, stated that they would not support the return of the Islamic Emirate system in Afghanistan.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov during Thursday's opening session of the Moscow talks on Afghan peace said that despite the peace agreement between the US and the Taliban in Doha, the security situation has continued to deteriorate. The talks are designed to give a boost to negotiations between the Afghan government and the Taliban in Qatar's capital Doha, stalled lately by government accusations that the insurgents have done too little to halt violence. US Special Envoy Zalmay Khalilzad's presence was a sign of Washington's increasing efforts to attract support among regional powers for its plans for Afghanistan, where it has agreed to withdraw its forces after nearly 20 years. Following the Moscow Conference on Afghan Peace held on Thursday, a joint statement was issued in which 4 primary representative countries, Russia, China, the US and Pakistan, stated that they would not support the return of the Islamic Emirate system in Afghanistan. The statement also recognized the will of the Afghan people for peace, called for a reduction in violence from all sides and for the Taliban to not launch a spring offensive, and reiterated calls for a negotiated settlement for the conflict. The Moscow gathering will be followed by a meeting of regional players in Turkey next month and a summit that Khalilzad has asked the United Nations to organize.
Moving on to news from Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived in Dhaka on Friday for a two-day visit to take part in ongoing Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bangladesh independence, along with the birth centenary of the father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The 10-day-long celebrations will be attended by several other world leaders under separate schedules in view of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived in Bangladeshi capital Dhaka on Friday on a two-day official visit to participate in Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bangladesh's independence and the birth centenary of Father of the Nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Rajapaksa was received by his Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina upon his arrival and accorded a grand ceremonial guard of honor at the airport. He was scheduled to hold bilateral talks with the Bangladeshi leadership later in the day. Bangladesh on Wednesday kick-started the 10-day-long events to mark the Golden Jubilee of its independence from Pakistan and 101 birth anniversary of Banga Bandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who led the country's 9-month liberation war 50 years ago. Streets and strategically important places and structures in capital Dhaka have been decorated with colorful festoons, flags and banners for the celebrations, which will be attended by several other world leaders including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi under separate schedules in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Bangladesh government had postponed major events to mark the birth centenary of Mujibur Rahman in March 2020 following the outbreak of COVID-19. The birth centenary celebrations will now be marked throughout this year till the country's Victory Day, which falls on December 16.
Armies of India and Uzbekistan participated in the second edition of the annual joint exercise where they underwent training for counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations in rural and urban environment. The military exercise Dastlik 2 began on March 10 and will end on Friday.
The second edition of India-Uzbekistan joint military exercise Dastlik 2 was held in India's northern Ranikhet town on Thursday to boost defense ties. The first edition of the joint military exercise has taken place in Tashkent in November 2019. Around 45 soldiers each from both the armies participated in the second edition of the annual joint exercise, where they underwent training for counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations in rural and urban environment.
The Uzbek Army team and our Indian Army team, consisting of troops from the 13 Kumaon, have been training out here in a joint exercise basically for counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations in a rural and an urban environment.
Firing, search and cordon operations, jungle shooting drills were among the activities done during the exercise that had begun on March 10.
Around 3,500 couples belonging to economically weaker sections of the society tied the nuptial knot at a mass wedding held in India's northern Lucknow city on Thursday. Mass marriages are popular, especially among the economically backward sections of Indian society, as they help to reduce the financial burden on the parents of guardians of brides.
As many as 3,500 Hindu and Muslim couples got married in a mass wedding ceremony in India's northern Lucknow city of Uttar Pradesh state on Thursday. Organized by the Uttar Pradesh government, the brides from both the communities sat with their grooms and performed wedding rituals as per their respective traditions.
गरीबों का जो परिवार है मतलब वो जिनके पास पैसा नहीं है शादी कराने का वो सरकार निर्णय ले रही है.
Mass marriages are popular traditions, especially among the economically backward sections of Indian society, as they help to reduce the financial burden on the parents or guardians of the brides. Conventionally, the family of a bride in India is expected to bear the expenses of a lavish wedding and also give dowry to the bride and groom, deemed as gifts to the bride, which could be in cash or kind.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.